All right, Max, good to have you back. Sounds like you're at Wash U. It's a place I'm pretty familiar with. I used to live in St. Louis, so congratulations on a pretty awesome school you got there. I remembered your swing when your dad emailed me. I remember the name and kind of could picture your swing. It's funny how the baseball guys or hitting coaches never forget swings. It's probably been 5 or 6 years since I've seen you hit. And actually, even from what I remember, your sequence hasn't changed much. Your style is still pretty similar. I think the difference now as an older athlete and more body awareness, you're going to have an easier time of making some of these adjustments that we're going to talk about here briefly. Your stance checks out well. You're going to have a lot of freedom to be an athlete in the batter's box, so there's nothing here that stands out as something immediately you need to change. But I am going to talk about a few things in the load. I'm going to have to go a little slower in your video. For whatever reason, yours wasn't cooperating like your sister's was. And I'm going to put a big league hitter up here against you. So just a second. And somebody with kind of a reach style that you have. It's Ian Kinsler. Okay, so as I take you into your negative move, one of the rules that you may have heard me say in the past is your back knee has to stay inside your ankle. And you do that, but you can see how your shoulder is still getting over your shoe. We still consider this an overload. So it's like you're manually trying to make up for that overload by pinching your back knee in more to try to change where that center of gravity is inside the shoe. But everything has to stay inside that back shoe during the negative move. So you're going to load less as you coil your hips. You don't feel like you have to go back as much. That movement back is a tiny, tiny move. It's a tiny action. So I'm going to try to progress you forward. Now, this is what I'm talking about the reach style. In my advice, if you could, I would get out of this style and try to think of your back knee and stride foot advancing at the same time. Because basically what's happening in your swing as I progress through it further is you're getting into your front leg very early, and you're losing the pressure of your back instep very early. And that's basically causing you to use your backside, kind of dragging it through the swing, rather than your backside initiating the spring and being the driver. So once I separate from my back hip and walk away from it, and it doesn't come with me, or I don't maintain that pressure in the back shoe, basically the only way you can create more bat speed is getting more momentum forward. So if you had a reach style and you're shifting to center, that's fine. See, here's Kinsler does the same thing. But he shifts to center, as you're seeing here. So his hitting position looks exactly the same as any other hitter from any other type of style. But he still has that pressure in his back instep, his back leg, that drives the swing clearly from the back side. As you can see him beginning the swing here. The difference is when you reach into your front foot, you shift forward of center, you lose the driver of the back. It's clear to see there. I could stop at one more frame. You lose that power from the backside, and there it is. And you're having to basically use more forward momentum, or in your case, too, you're recruiting the muscles of the upper body because you're losing your legs. So your upper body, torso, shoulders do a lot of work, extra work in the swing to try to make up for what your legs aren't doing. And that causes you to create some length around the ball. You pull off the ball early because the shoulder has to fly open as you try to pull it to create more bat speed. So this is a simpler adjustment than my explanation may make it seem. What you have to do is maintain, and this frame right here is perfect, maintain in-step pressure in your back shoe as you shift to center. So if you're going to use that reach style as opposed to a traditional stride where your back knee and stride foot gain ground at the same time, if you're going to reach and then shift to center, while you shift, you have to maintain back instep pressure. And that has to be maintained, pressing into the ground, staying attached to the ground as you begin the rotational phase of your swing, where you want to think that back hip pocket is launching you and your body to the baseball as you turn your torso into the ball. So that's going to take us away from hitting with momentum and starting to hit with the spring of a tight backside and core. One thing I would like you to add, which you can see with Kinsler on the other side, is he's getting ready to begin this rotational phase. The upper body scap is still loaded. That pullback or resistance just adds to the torque of your swing, but that can't really be worked on with you until you get the instep pressure and you hitting at center. One way I can help hitters work on this is, normally when you're doing tee work middle like you're doing here, you put your stride foot even with the ball to hit it middle. I put the stride foot for guys like you about 2 inches in front of the ball because you are sliding into your front leg, so your torso is going to move forward too. So what this does, it forces you to have to keep your torso back and still hit the ball up the middle. Well, like keeping your torso back, it's going to help you maintain or stabilize instep pressure or back leg pressure more at center or into the ground as you rotate, which is where you need to be. So let's get that part of it ironed out first before we get into the upper body scap load. I think I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse of going much further into your instruction before you get the legs down. Because if you have any air in the legs, it's going to just constantly transfer into areas of the upper body. So we can talk about loading your upper body correctly, but it's always going to pull off the ball early or be recruited in your shoulders early if your legs aren't doing the job they're supposed to do. So those adjustments is what I want you to focus on right now, landing a little bit in front of the tee and keeping your torso back. That's one cheater way just to fix, but you need to feel pressure into the ground with your back shoe until your body starts to rotate. So right now in that picture, you've lost the pressure in your back shoe. You're heavier in your front leg, and so you're kind of pushing into your front leg and dragging the back one behind to finish the swing. So I can play it here as that happens. That's why you look so erect at the end, like you're over your front leg. That back leg ends up becoming like a 1,000,000-pound weight that you're just dragging behind. So it's actually pulling on your hips, and that's why your back leg looks like it's almost extended when you're done, instead of having a deeper knee bend when you're finished. So again, that's just your front side dragging your backside around versus the backside being the driver. So let's work on that right now. Try to keep you lower into your legs, more instep pressure, landing in front of the tee and keeping your torso back. So we start to drive from the backside versus the front one.